Pippa Man to the inside, Wade Cunningham to the outside. Waiting on the starter to fly the green flag and get the Freedom 100 underway. It's a drag race down the main straightaway. Green flag is out. It looks like Wade Cunningham has the advantage, but now jumping out of line will be Martin Plow, and he makes a bonsai move for second place, Jake Query.
And Charlie Kimball does the same thing. Kimball moving from third all the way up to second. Pippa Man shuffled back to fourth. They come rolling through turn number 2. Pippa Man now falling into 5th position. The two-time winner, Wade Cunningham, takes the field safely into turn number 3.
And coming down the backstretch, we had a car go on the white line into the grass, but everything is good as Wade Cunningham has about a 15-car length lead as we had some wild driving. Mark James down the back straightaway.
Well, Jerry Baker, the 49 machine of Philip Major, made that backstretch plenty wide, no doubt about that. He jumped out of line deep in the field. Philip Major goes from about 11th up to 7th with that move down the backstretch.
And Mark, I back up to our conversation before the race began. That's a Sam Schmidt Motorsports car. That's one of the reasons they are so strong, and he is stretching it out.
Kyle, might he hear from race control after a move like that?
I don't know. It looked like he got forced down there. I mean, Tony's going to be pretty lenient right now for the first lap. I mean, some guys really are playing a little rough, but now they seem to be lining up.
Donald Davidson taking a look at that start. I know the goal is on race day for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is to have those rows lined up in perfect formations, your 11 rows of 3. I'd say that was a pretty impressive start by these young drivers.
It was. Of course, the difference being that it is 2 abreast rather than 3, but yes, you are correct. Already we have a car in the pits, by the way. J.K. Vernet has already come in and is stopped north of the start finish line, so we're showing 0 laps.
Well, let's hope that Nick can check on that and find out exactly what the problem is. He's out of the car into turn 2.
And in turn 2, a problem as there are 2 cars making contact. Charlie Kimball had worked his way just around it, and suddenly Jeff Simmons got loose. Jeff Simmons made contact in the south short chute, and the pole sitter, Pippa Man, was collected in that. She's got damage to the front nose, the right side wing. Pippa Man comes to a stop right in front of me in turn number 2. Jeff Simmons comes to a stop in the right flat in the middle of the short chute between 1 and 2.
Caution on the course at the Firestone Freedom 100. Caution on the course of the Firestone Freedom 100. Lots of storylines unfolding early. First of all, your points leader, J.K. Vernet, has parked his car on pit road. He is out of it, walking back to the garage area. Nick trying to catch up with him. And then the pole sitter, Pippa Mann, and the number 11 machine, taken out by number 17, Jeff Simmons. A crash on lap number 2. Kyle Moyer, what exactly happened?
Well, it looked like Simmons was trying to get underneath Martin Plowman, and he pitched the front end off, and the thing came loose. He's asking too much from the front end, to turn down that low in the corner. And here comes the back end around. And poor Pippa, I mean, she's the innocent bystander that gets collected in it. And, it's good to see her out of the car, and both drivers are safe. But, she qualified on the pole. She was hoping for a good day, and now her day's done.
Well, J.K. Vernet, as we mentioned, parked his car on pit road with a problem just prior to that accident occurring. Nick has caught up with him on pit road.
J.K., obviously you won 2 races earlier this season. What happened that put you out so early?
I don't know what happened exactly. Engine problem. I don't know. I had no power, and the 2 wheels locks in the pit. So I'm really pissed because to do 1 lap for a race like that, we did a great job. The car was good, and I did only 1 lap. So really, really, really disappointed. And it's a really bad thing for the championship. So not a good day.
Did you have any indication on the pace laps leading up to the green flag?
No, it was great. And when I took the start, I feel that we had no power. And after corner 2 and 1 and 2, nothing happened. And I was flat and no power. Every car was overtaking me. So it's like that.
Well, very disappointed first-year rookie out early here at Indianapolis.
We had him on Indy Live last night from the Brickyard Crossing, and certainly a very pleasant young man. Was excited about his opportunity to compete in the Firestone Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the first time. His experience short-lived. Well, a lot of wreckage in front of Jake Query out in turn 2. Jake, how's the cleanup going?
Well, the good news is Pippa Mann, Mark, got out of the car and got out of the car under her own power. It took a while for the Hamatro safety crew to get to her, and when I say that, not to actually pull up. They were right on the scene, as they always are, in just a flash. But then just to get her out of the car, they had to free up the side pod a little bit before Pippa Mann could hop out. But once they got that free, she was able to get out under her own power. The issue now is a lot of moisture on the racetrack from that race car. A lot of oil that was laid down in turn number 2. They've got the oil dry down, and that number 11 machine that led this field through turn number 1 to start the race, the pole sitter, without its front nose now, is just now getting towed. So we still are probably a couple of laps away from seeing green flag action. Jeff Simmons' car still sits right smack dab in the middle of the south end of the racetrack. I was not able to see from my vantage point whether or not Jeff Simmons got out of the car, but I did see one of the cars drive away, which would indicate that the veteran in his 5th Firestone Indy Lights Freedom 100, Jeff Simmons, this was his 5th start, presumably got out okay. That's certainly what we hope at this point. Interesting scenario now. This race continues without its pole sitter in Pippa Mann, without the aforementioned rookie in Jeff Simmons, and without J.K. Vernet, the current points leader in the Firestone Indy Lights. So 3 key players that we were looking at the beginning of this race now not in it. One interesting note as well, Speedy Dan Clark, living up to his nickname, driving for Derek Walker. He started 10th in this race. He now sits in 4th position.
Mark, the scenario is interesting for Pippa Mann. I was just looking at her record this year. At St. Pete, she started 13th, 12th at down in Alabama, and 12th again at Long Beach. She has never started up there. I think she might have got snookered on that start just a little bit, and she had great position as they were lined up beautifully. But the guys alongside and behind her just literally shut her out. And somebody pointed out, one of you guys did, I think that it was Plowman that came roaring through there early on. And she found herself running 5th almost before the green flag had fallen.
Well, Donald Davison, we're watching something going on right now that once upon a time we just never saw. We see the Sam Schmidt Motorsports machine of J.K. Vernet being poured over by the crew, and he's been asked to come back to the race car. Of course, he's in the battle for the points championship, and if they can get that car running, get him back out there, and he can pick up a couple of spots with just 5 laps having been completed so far, he has an opportunity to pick up some points that could be the difference in the championship. Of course, that's a departure from once upon a time. Once the car was parked, it was parked.
Well, no, I remember when they were now you can take them back to the garage area in the 500, which is a fairly recent thing. Well, it goes back up 10 or so years, but it used to be that cars would be worked on all day. The idea was to get as many laps as you could because the attrition used to be a lot higher. Now it seems like nobody drops out, but it used to be typical that at the end of the 500 there'd be 12, 13 survivors, and so the thing was to keep running, and sometimes cars would be worked on for 30, 40 minutes or more. Now all they have to do, if they can just get him running, I mean really they could take 3 laps under the yellow and they would already pick up 2 spots.
And that again becomes very, very important if that points championship tightens up. We see one of the Team Moore machines coming down pit road. We'll try to get a visual on that in just a minute. And Kyle Moyer, that's a clear indication. Poor Pippa Mann starting on pole. And of course, that's always the goal when you come here, is to start P1 because of all the notoriety. That's Adrian Campos Jr., by the way, coming down pit road. All the notoriety and significance that goes along with that. But boy, that joy is short-lived when you experience a crash like Pippa Mann did, and you're going to find yourself now probably finishing no better than 15th today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened on the start there because, you know, you would think being a Sham Schmidt car would have the same sort of gear ratios in that Wade had, but Wade seemed to power into turn 1 along with Plowman sort of plowing his way through there. In Pippa, I don't know if it was a gear miss or just a different gear setup, but she definitely fell really, really quick, and Wade just took off. You know, his car accelerated much better. But like you say, you know, that's new. That's something new for her. She's never been on the pole before. It's Indianapolis, and you look at turn 1, it's not the easiest corner to get into, that's for sure.
So what are the conversations like with drivers when you have a driver on the pole, not just for this race or any race, in terms of their pace? I know you go into a driver's meeting and be it Brian Barnhart, Tony Kottman, whatever the case may be, they have some guidelines, but pretty much when that meeting's over, the driver and the crew decides exactly what pace they're going to set coming out of 4 going into turn 1?
Yeah, you sort of, you know, the officials tell you sort of what they want to see, and then you decide what you want to see. And, you know, there's times when you feel like it's time to come in slow. It depends on who you have behind you. And then you have to look at what kind of corner you're going to go into. I mean, turn 1 at Indy is one of the hardest corners to ever race into. It's a blind corner. The pit wall protects it. You don't see where you actually apex. So it's not the easiest corner, and you're already going 2 wide, and then on Sunday we're going 3 wide. And you try to accelerate into turn 1, but you still have to make turn 1. I mean, we've seen it before where the pole sitter hasn't made turn 1, and there's nobody in front of him to block him or anything. But it's that hard of a corner here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, we've seen pole sitters in the past not even make it through the warm-up lap here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I've seen that before too. Yeah.
I have memories, Mark, of the Scott Sharp incident when I was down in turn 1. Scott brings him across the start-finish line, goes into turn 1, and the next thing you know, I'm calling a crash down there, and my mind is just not accepting what's happened, Kyle. It's scary.
Yeah.
Well, the number 7 machine has been refired. It is heading down pit road now, back out onto the course, and J.K. Vernay will re-enter this race. Let's head out to turn 2, check in with Jake Query. Jake, how's the cleanup going?
The cleanup, it looks as though we are ready to go. They went ahead and came out and dusted off that oil dry, and now there is no one on the track. They're getting ready to restart in the Freedom 100.
Coming into the view of Chris Denari.
They are just exiting turn 3. Wade Cunningham leads them single file now into turn number 4. We'll make that hard left-hand turn, and they're down the front straightaway. We're going green.
Charlie Kimball is all over Wade Cunningham as they head for the start-finish line. He'll dance to the outside, to his high side, we should say, as they set up for turn number 1. And the yellow flag waves, and it looks as though some folks may be back behind the first 2 or 3 cars, Kyle, may have jumped the start just a little bit.
Well, I don't know. Those are Andretti cars, and I think the leader was holding them up a little bit there, to be honest. But you know, that's what they decided to do. So you know, we'll try it again here. But you know, I got a feeling Charlie's still not going to be patient back there.
Well, Jerry Baker, we continue to wait anxiously for this thing to develop some sort of rhythm. It's been my experience in covering the Firestone Indy Lights over the past couple of years that Well, given the opportunity, these drivers can put on some pretty entertaining shows, but needless to say, the start of this one has been greatly disjointed.
You know, this is not the first time this year this has happened, Mark. If you go back to St. Pete, you recall that James Hinchcliffe was on the pole for that particular event and did not complete a lap. He had a first lap crash there. Vernet went on to win that event. And Charlie Kimball has got a guy Wade Cunningham has got to keep his eyes on, so he's going to try to get as much of a jump as he possibly can. But right now, Kimball looks awfully strong to me.
So Kyle, the cones in which they can start to accelerate, are those somewhere around the apex of turn number 4 on the north end?
The right, actually, right at the entrance of turn 4, and that's when you're supposed to accelerate. And by the apex, you're supposed to be going.
Okay. We'll see if that happens this time as they come single file out of turn number 4. We don't see Charlie Kimball dancing out of line just yet, but those front two have started to distance themselves. Now they get to the start-finish line, and it's a side-by-side drag race. And that Charlie Kimball 26 machine to the high side, Jake Murray had the advantage going into 1.
And Charlie Kimball now of California, Camarillo, California. Charlie Kimball leads the field through turn number 2. Then it's Cunningham. Then Martin Plowman takes a look to the inside of Cunningham, but the side's against it. He now files in, and Dan Clark puts a challenge in now on Cunningham as well.
They are 3 wide back behind Kimball, about battling for 4th, 5th, and 6th, but Kimball about a 20-car length lead over Cunningham, and then it's Martin Plowman in the AFS Andretti Autosport car. He's in 3rd place, but a good lead right now for Charlie Kimball.
Well, Charlie Kimball set sail down that long 5/8 of a mile straightaway. We'll watch the timing and scoring loop turn over as we look at the 77 machine in tow. As you see Dan Clark now starting to drift back a little bit, but James Hinchcliffe and company also running strong with 10 laps of the 40 scheduled. Charlie Kimball is your leader, Wade Cunningham, Martin Plowman, then James Hinchcliffe in 4th. Dan Clark is 5th, then Sebastian Saavedra, Philip Major, Gustavo Jacobin, Stephen Wilson, Brandon Wagner, Ari Lyondike Jr. 11th, Adrian Campos Jr., Rodrigo Barboza, and then J.K. Vernet just back into the race as Wade Cunningham slides back into the lead. Chris Denari, you saw the move.
Yeah, Cunningham made the move, and I'll tell you what, Charlie Kimball slowed down and gave him plenty of room to dive inside, and now about a 10-car length advantage now for 2-time winner Wade Cunningham.
Well, Jerry Baker, let's knock wood. It appears as though that nice race pace that we were searching for, now just 2 laps back into this green flag stand. It appears as though drivers settling in a bit.
I'm going to go back for just a moment, Mark. Charlie Kimball, when they did the restart, literally almost got in front of Cunningham at the start-finish line. He couldn't have been more than a couple of feet behind him. And then you got to give credit to Cunningham now for taking that lead right back.
Working lap number 12, Wade Cunningham, the leader at the Firestone Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Scanners furnished to the IMS Radio Network by TrackScan of Mooresville, North Carolina. Visit them at the racetrack or on the web at track-scan.com. Heading down the back straightaway in front of Chris Denary. Pretty good battle among the front runners.
Yeah, James Hinchcliffe has dropped back to third. He nearly had second. He was trying to make the pass of Charlie Kimball, but had to back off out of turn 3. But those first 3 cars, Mark, as they come into your range, they're about 2 car lengths between each other.
15 laps. Wade Cunningham, Charlie Kimball, James Hinchcliffe, Martin Plowman, and Dan Clark in top 5. Kyle Moyer, who's in the best position right now? Charlie Kimball or Wade Cunningham?
Well, Wade's won this thing from leading before, so he's a tough character whenever he's leading, but he seems to play the lead at this race and pulls it off. He's done it twice, and right now I would say he's sitting good, but it's like a 3-car breakaway with the 3 of them. I mean, any of them, but we're short into the race. The cars are going to start wearing tires here pretty soon, and let's see who's got a really good car.
Jerry Baker.
Mark, just a shout out to Brandon Wagner. An interesting situation for this young man. Brandon driving 32 out of Lafayette, Indiana. He is taking a break from his classes at Purdue University to focus on his racing. He went out to qualify yesterday, Mark. One of the first 2 or 3 cars out, took the green flag, and stopped in turn 1. They didn't have any gas in the car, any fuel in the automobile, so he had to start dead last and work his way up to 9th.
Donald Davidson, of course, the schedule is an ever-evolving one, and of course this month condensed somewhat. But over the past few years, that Car Day has been held on Friday, along with his Firestone Freedom 100, and of course the pit stop competition and the concert with the featured act by ZZ Top. We have seen crowds ever growing each and every year on Fridays.
Yeah, this is a huge crowd, and I remember that when it used to be just the carburation runs only, when nobody was running carburetors, and it would be for 3 hours. And over the years, at one time that was closed. That wasn't open until the public until I'd say late 60s, early 70s, and then the crowd grew and grew and grew, and the 3-hour practice session would be over, and people were still trying to get in the track, and that used to amaze me how such a huge crowd came for just a practice session. Now, of course, it's down to 2 hours to 1, but there's all these other activities going on.
James Hinchcliffe made the hard dive to the inside and picked up that second spot at the entrance to turn number 3. They make their way through the short chute in the north end, coming down the main straightaway. Jerry Baker, it's Wade Cunningham, James Hinchcliffe, and Charlie Kimball. Those front 3 separating themselves at the start-finish line.
Hinchcliffe coming off a win at Long Beach by a margin of 0.837 seconds. In fact, he led all 45 laps in that race, Mark. So no surprise that he's headed up front.
Dan Clark, Martin Plowman, Philip Major. That's a pretty good battle, Jake Query.
Charlie Kimball moves into second position just then, just as you said it. And right now, Wade Cunningham has about a 3-car length advantage than Charlie Kimball, but James Hinchcliffe is right back on Charlie Kimball's heels.
Guys, this is where he likes to make his move, James Hinchcliffe. He loves to make his move coming into 3 out of the long straightaway on the backstretch, but he cannot make the pass of Kimball. It's about a 3-car length advantage for Cunningham. Then it's Kimball, then it's Hinchcliffe. 1, 2, 3.
Coming off of turn number 4, we see 2 good battles on the racetrack. The battle for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then the spots 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. That features Dan Clark, Martin Plowman, Philip Major, and Sebastian Saavedra. We've settled into a nice race pace here on the Firestone Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
with 22 laps complete of 40 set to be contested in the Firestone Freedom 100. Wade Cunningham, your winner, followed by your leader, rather, followed by James Hinchcliffe, Charlie Kimball, Dan Clark, and Martin Plowman. We pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network. Welcome back to the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Kyle Moyer, we see that number 7 Lucas Oil machine of J.K. Vernay, who was 6 laps down, but up there running among the front runners. How happy would that make Charlie Kimball, James Hinchcliffe, and Wade Cunningham?
Well, I mean, I think he's trying to flex his little muscle there to show what he could have been. But at the same time, I mean, you're several laps down. I mean, let these 3 guys play. I think, you know, all 3 cars are pretty evenly matched. Wade's doing a really good job. I mean, his normal sort of hesitating up front while everybody else plays behind him and takes up time. But, you know, we're halfway through, and it seems like Wade's got a commanding lead up now. He seems like he's got everything under control, which is what he did last year.
Well, we see Dan Clark has moved his way up to that 3rd position, and while certainly he might be a bit of a stranger to the Firestone Indy Lights, Kyle Moyer, Dan Clark is a guy with a lot of experience in open wheel racing.
Yeah, when we were running the A1 GP, he was driving for Great Britain, and he's got a lot of open wheel experience, probably more than most of the guys in this race, even with the 1 year they've had in the Indy Lights. I mean, he's been driving for years and years. He's tested F1. He wants to get into the next level, into the IndyCar, which would be a really good move for him. Just a matter of timing, and with the Walker group, maybe that can happen.
Well, Jake Query, we've been keeping our eye on Charlie Kimball the last handful of laps or so, and perhaps no driver out there than the driver of the 26th machine is using more racetrack to get around this place than Charlie Kimball.
Yeah, Charlie Kimball, for a while there, you could almost make the argument he was flat blocking on James Hinchcliffe. He was all over the track, and Chris Denari noted that he had the tires below the white line an awful lot. Right now, what they're contending with is what you guys were just talking about. That's the car of J.K. Vernay, the lapped car of J.K. Vernay, who right now is right behind Wade Cunningham. So you have Wade Cunningham, then about 2 car lengths back, it's J.K. Vernay, then James Hinchcliffe, who's in 2nd position, but now has that number 7 machine between himself and the leader. The entire field moves right now into the view of Chris Denari.
And that bright blue car of Dan Clark for Walker Racing, a good race. He's right on the backside of Hinchcliffe as the leaders now come through turn 3. It's Cunningham with Vernay now between Hinchcliffe, then it's Clark, and then it's Kimball. Safely through turn number 4. Cunningham about a 5 car length advantage, making it 6 over Hinchcliffe.
Well, Jerry Baker, the return to the cockpit this weekend for Ari Lyondike Jr. has been a bit of a struggle. Didn't qualify particularly well, and his car came to pit road very, very slow.
Yeah, the son of the two-time former Indy 500 winner Ari Lyondike back in 1990 and 97. Markey has not won any of the races this year. Started the 2006 Indianapolis 500, ran 54 laps, had a handling problem there, and did not get much track time, as none of the drivers really did. A late arrival here, and he is out of the race apparently.
Well, Donald Davidson, we're now getting to the point in our lives where we're actually seeing the influence of 3rd-generation drivers here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but certainly a storied history among fathers and sons racing here over the years.
Oh, yeah, there's a number. In fact, you could almost make a stretch with Robbie Gordon's great-grandfather, not grandfather, but great-grandfather, was a road racer named Huntley Gordon, and we believe that he's the mysterious Gordon that's assigned to a car in 1914 as a potential relief driver and not used. But anyway, he did run other races like the American Grand Prize at Santa Monica. And as far as 2nd and 3rd generation drivers, in fact, I'll throw this one in. Teddy Pillette, the Belgian who took a rookie test in 1977 and was teammate to Rick Mears, but neither one of them made the race. He's on the grounds, and his grandfather, Theodore Pillette, drove in the 1913 race and finished 5th.
See, now he's humbled by being in the Hall of Fame. He can give us information like that.
Kyle, do you have any questions?
Not for a Hall of Famer. I just listen.
We'll be back with more. 28 laps complete. Wade Cunningham continues to show the fast way around the way, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 31 laps being shown complete in the Firestone Freedom 100. Wade Cunningham trying to join the three-time winners club here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Charlie Kimball, James Hinchcliffe, Dan Clark in fourth, and Martin Plowman. Go ahead and give you the full field rundown. Philip Major is in sixth. Brandon Wagner, a nice run for him, in seventh place. Wilson is eighth. Saavedra ninth. Adrian Campos Jr. is 10th, and Gustavo Jacobin, Rodrigo Barboza, J.K. Vernay has picked up another spot, leapfrogging over the retired Ari Lyondike Jr. He's now 13th. Lyondike Jr. in 14th, and Simmons and Pippa Mann involved in that accident on lap number 2, both out of the race in 15th and 16th, respectively. So, Kyle Moyer, Sebastian Saavedra, other drivers have done this with the lights of the IndyCar Series, doing the double this weekend. However, there's just not much from these cars that transfer over to the big cars.
No, they're two completely different cars. One's got a lot of downforce, a lot of rubber. The other one doesn't have as much rubber and a lot less downforce. So, yeah, two complete different cars.
Well, Chris Denari, Charlie Kimball's had enough of second place, works his way around Wade Cunningham.
Well, he has been all over the track. His car's been handling very, very well. He's got about a 3 or 4 car length advantage now on Cunningham as they're heading toward you in the pagoda.
Well, as they make their way down the main straightaway, Cunningham starts to fall back by about 3 car lengths. Again, that number 7 machine you see running in third, several laps off the pace, but Jake Query, 4 cars in a gaggle behind that lead pack. They're heading for you in turn number 2. That's Hinchcliffe, Clark, Plowman, and Major.
Yeah, and the interesting thing in front of them, when J.K. Vernay allowed Charlie Kimball to get by him, that put Charlie Kimball in plain view of Vernay's teammate, Wade Cunningham, in the lead. Right now, those 3 move into turn number 3, then that quartet behind them about 10 car lengths back.
Cunningham goes to the outside, tried to make the pass on Kimball. He has to drop back in the short chute. Now he's on the outside again. With about a half car length advantage is Kimball, but now out on the outside is Cunningham. They are dragging down the front straightaway side by side.
They almost banged wheels at the apex of turn number 3. Cunningham with a bit of an advantage to the high side. Vernay running right there with him. They're trying to go 3 wide into turn number 1 before Vernay backs out of it a bit.
Vernay backs out. Charlie Kimball now with just a slight lead. Wade Cunningham on the outside now, and Cunningham moves back into the lead. Wade Cunningham down to the middle of the racetrack. He's got Charlie Kimball right behind him, Chris Denari.
Down toward the right white line. Now Kimball goes to the outside in that green and red machine. They are side by side. Kimball trying to make the pass as they enter turn 3. They nearly touch. Cunningham holds on and stays in front of Kimball. Now Kimball tries to duck to the inside, entering turn number 4, but Cunningham shoots by. He's got about a 5 or 6 car length advantage.
Vernay is right there, and Kimball tries to slide down and slam the door on him to keep him from getting by. That cost him precious momentum and really opens up the door for Wade Cunningham. Cunningham roars into turn number 1.
Wade Cunningham takes advantage. That last time through the north side, I thought I was watching Little Al and Immo in '89. I don't know how they didn't touch, but now Wade Cunningham, a 5 car length advantage with Charlie Kimball behind him, and then that lap car of J.K. Vernay.
Halfway through the backstretch here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 2010 Firestone Freedom 100. Still about a 6 car length advantage for Wade Cunningham over Charlie Kimball. As they enter turn number 4, that hard left hand. Kimball is down below the white line. Cunningham right in the middle of the track, still with a 5 car length advantage.
So they start to fan out a little bit, Jerry Baker, as they head towards turn 1 this time. The number 7 machine of Vernay kind of falling off the pace a little bit, but it looks like Kimball's trying to reel in Wade Cunningham again as they set up for turn 2.
At the outset of the broadcast, Mark, we talked about the Andretti gang and the Schmidt gang, how that was who we were going to focus on today with good cause, because right up front right now, after 10 laps, Kimball was out in front. After 20 laps, Cunningham had the lead. After 30, Kimball is still trailing Cunningham, so that's the battle right now.
Well, you got to wonder if he's just like a snake in the grass at this point, Kyle Moyer. Is the number 26 machine waiting for another opportunity to get a run here?
Well, I think he's got to, but I don't think he's waiting. I mean, these 2 guys are going at it tooth for nail, really. I mean, side by side. There's not a lot of laps here left. He's going to have to make a run here soon, and then it's a matter if Wade can hold him off or not.
Vernay has fallen back all the way into that second pack now, Jake Query. Not really a factor at all. He's running back with Hinchcliffe, Clark, and Plowman as the leaders continue to battle it out.
Yeah, the leaders are really separating themselves right now. Wade Cunningham and Charlie Kimball. Then you've got to go about 15 car lengths back before James Hinchcliffe comes into view.
Halfway through the backstretch, Charlie Kimball in second. He has 2 second-place finishes this year and a 4th. He dives down below the white line. Both left side tires were there. Still about a 5-car length advantage for Wade Cunningham, who's trying to win his 3rd Freedom 100.
Kyle, as Charlie used the tires up a little bit, he seems to be fading some.
Yeah, he's picking up a push here, and he just lifted in 4 there, so he's gave himself another 5-car gap. But you know, it's good. One of those things. If he can hold her flat, he can make a run. If he's going to have to lift, he's not going to have it done.
There's really nobody. If you have a car behind you, does that give you any advantage at all? I mean, we talk about toes with cars in front of you down the straightaway. Can anybody behind you be of a benefit, even though he doesn't have that luxury right now?
Not a lot. I mean, not for what he's looking for. I mean, the best thing that Charlie could have is the 2 of them separating from everybody else, and then it's up to him to see if he can hold it flat, because I can tell you Wade's holding it flat around here.
Well, Wade Cunningham is your leader, then Charlie Kimball, James Hinchcliffe, Dan Clark, Martin Plowman, Philip Major, Brandon Wagner, Wilson, Saavedra, Campos Jr., your top 10, then Yachman, Barbosa, Vernay. Out of the race, Ari Lyondike Jr., Jeff Simmons, and Pippa Mann. The white flag is out as Wade Cunningham looking to get into victory lane in Indianapolis for the 3rd time in his career, Jake Query.
Wade Cunningham has won 6 races in the Firestone Indy Lights. A 3rd of those have come here in Indianapolis. Nobody has won here 3 times in this series. He's halfway across his final lap, Kristen Airy.
Wade Cunningham started on the front row next to Pippa Mann, trying to win his 3rd Freedom 100, going to the outside, but blocked. Charlie Kimball tried to make the pass. Cunningham cut him off. They're in the north short chute with about a 3-car length advantage for Wade Cunningham.
Charlie Kimball trying to get a run for the final time as they roar out of turn number 4. Wade Cunningham makes his way down the main straightaway in the middle of the racetrack. Twin checkers in the air, and Wade Cunningham will win the 2010 Firestone Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.